Hi everyone, my name is Nicole DaCosta, and I'm a sophomore studying biology and anthropology on the pre-medicine track. I spent the summer working with Dr. Michael McQuillan and Dr. Sarah Tishkoff, working to characterize genomic and phenotypic variation in the San population of southern Africa. The African continent is home to the most genetic diversity across the planet, and is where all humans, Homo sapiens, originate from. Before population divergence and movements, the first Homo sapiens emerged in Africa between 200 to 300,000 years ago. As of now, it's predicted modern human populations began moving outside of Africa only 70 to 100,000 years ago. Because human life began and remained in Africa for tens to hundred thousands of years, it led to a complex history of population interactions and movements. Populations in Africa also had to adapt to a variety of changes in climate, diet, and exposure to infectious disease, leading to higher levels of genetic diversity in African ethnic groups versus non-African populations. The populations leaving Africa bottlenecked off the existing genetic diversity in the African continent, and while mutations still occurred in these non-African populations, leading to new variants and phenotypes, there is still higher levels of genetic diversity across African ethnic groups. Despite these higher levels of genetic diversity, Africa is drastically underrepresented in genomic data studies compared to the immense levels of research done into European populations. However, there exists so much to gain into researching ethnically diverse African populations. In fact, to better understand the science behind all humans, we must further explore the diverse genomes of various African ethnic groups. So, as I previously mentioned, I specifically looked into researching the southern African Khoesan populations. The Khoesan speakers, known as the San, are hunter-gatherer populations spread across Botswana, Namibia, Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and South Africa. They have the most basal genetic lineages as they diverged very early from other human populations. The Khoesan have unique morphological and physiological features, such as the lightest skin tone out of other African populations, a unique hair texture, and are adapted to a hunter-gatherer lifestyle in a desert climate. I looked for genomic signatures of natural selection to identify genetic variants or genes that may have been adaptive in this population. I used genome-wide data from IHS, or the Integrated Haplotype Score, and DI statistic analyses, taking the top 0.01% of SNPs with the highest confidence of possibly experiencing positive selection. I looked at variants at the extremes of the distribution and looked for enrichment for phenotype function using enrichR. I saw enrichment for genes that play a role in skin and hair phenotypes, as well as glucose metabolism and kidney function. One of the graphs I saw can be found in chart 1. I then identified genes that looked interesting and annotated them. Some of the genes I identified, taking them from the phenotypes generated by enrichR, can be found in table 1. I converted base pair numbers into RSID numbers with caviar, and then searched for SNPs identified as missense variants using Ensemble, an allele frequency map of a missense variant in the CRIT74 gene can be found in figure 1. At this point in my research, I've identified several key missense variants in genes potentially involved in the unique phenotypes of the Khoesan populations. Next steps in my research include looking into the potential pathways these missense variants might be affecting. Some future questions I have that I hope to address in later research are 1. About whether the Khoesan's lighter skin color was uniquely adapted in their population, or was it perhaps ancestral to all human populations? And 2, are there any explicit advantages to the current phenotypes of the Khoesan, like hair texture or skin color? Or were changes in hair and skin actually just a sign of a byproduct of evolution in another system of the body, for example, the immune system? Thank you for visiting my poster, and I hope you enjoy your evening.